David, Simon Hill will be coming up very soon, but what was your weekend highlight thus far?
What highlight this morning, Marty, was driving in here, pulled up at the lights, looked to my right, there was a taxi, a fellow very well inked, looked across and he was clearly on his way home from a late night establishment and was sucking in the big ones. It was breathe in, breathe out, almost like a yoga class for this fellow. He was well and truly up and about for 5:40 on a Sunday morning, and I thought, you know what, I'm just happy to be. I think that's why I've got a spring in my step. I thought, it's been a long time since I've had one of those mornings, and I can understand why, looking at that poor fellow. I hope the Sunday gets better for that man from here on in.
I've got to say, David, the last two Saturday nights, not through being unprofessional, but just I've had to be out and about. And today's a little bit different. I can tell you, we were pulling all of the tricks and a lot of experience went into the last two shows. I can tell you. But today we're up and about. We're ready to go.
Switched on, ready to roll.
I've got to say, the highlight for me yesterday's racing at Ascot, the winner, Bonjour. Hasn't Jason Miller got this mare firing? CJP.
And my father-in-law's got a little share in that horse, really? Marty.
He's a lucky owner, isn't he?
He's a very lucky owner, no doubt, and a very lucky father-in-law as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
let me say that.
That's the one I like to throw in. But no, he's a tinny owner, and he's certainly having a very good run.
Simon Hill joins us. A very good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Going beautifully, thank you, Simon. Much better for hearing your voice on the other end of the line. Gee, there's been plenty of action in the Premier League overnight. Let's roll our sleeves and get straight into it. Nottingham Forest, my goodness, what a festival they've put on there overnight. 7-0 over Brighton, if you don't mind. This is as one-sided as we see in the Premier League, an absolute drubbing.
Yeah, they put on an absolute clinic against Brighton, who were utterly woeful, it must be said. But it's a great result for Forest, particularly on the back of last week's reverse when they went to Bournemouth and got absolutely smashed 5-0. That's all you can ask for, I think, as a manager, is a big response. And they certainly got that. Chris Wood with a hat-trick, the New Zealander. He's having an amazing season, a real sort of Indian summer to his career. One of them a penalty. Morgan Gibbs-White, Necker Williams, Jota Silva and a Lewis Dunk own goal completing the rout. Chris Wood, the first Forest player to score a top-flight hat-trick at home since Nigel Clough, there's a name from the past, back in 1987. Forest still up there challenging. A few people, and probably myself included, did wonder after that loss to Bournemouth whether the bubble might have burst a little bit for Forest, but not so. And that, by the way, is Brighton's heaviest league defeat since 1959. So that shows you those sorts of results don't happen too often.
Well, the red and the blue, they'll be happy in Liverpool. Liverpool away to Bournemouth, 2-0. Everton at home to Leicester, 4-0.
Yeah, Liverpool 9 points clear at the top of the league. And to be honest, this is the sort of result that makes you really think that it's going to be Liverpool's year. It wasn't comfortable for them, to be honest. Bournemouth are a good side, and they've claimed some pretty big scalps at home this season. But Liverpool managed to get the job done, which they've done so many times this season. 2 Mo Salah goals, the difference. The first, a little bit contentious maybe. Cody Gakpo went down under what seemed to be minimal contact from Lewis Cook, but the referee pointed to the spot. No doubt about the second goal. Trademark curler from Salah from the edge of the box. Before then, Bournemouth had a brilliant chance to take the lead, but Antoine Semenyo hit the post, and I think that was crucial. So Bournemouth lose for the first time in 12 matches, and Liverpool can now sit back with the luxury of watching Arsenal and Man City today. Arsenal will need to win to keep the pressure on and get it back to 6 points, but I think it's going to be Liverpool's title this year. And across the other side of Merseyside, as you rightly say, Everton enjoying the David Moyes effect. 3 consecutive wins over a very poor Leicester City side. Everton were 2-0 up after 6 minutes. In fact, Abdoulaye Doucouré scored with 10.18 seconds on the watch. That's the 4th fastest ever goal in Premier League history, the fastest goal ever by an Everton player. And 5 minutes later, they were 2-0 up, Beto making it 2. And Leicester were pretty much done for. Beto got a second in first half stoppage time. Ilman and Dye with a 4th late on. Leicester look as though they are doomed for the drop. 7 defeats in 8 games. The fans aren't happy with Ruud van Nistelrooy, who, of course, replaced Steve Cooper midway through the season. It's not really worked. And he's got his old club to visit next week in the FA Cup, Manchester United and Nistelrooy. So I don't think it's going to get much better for them there. But a good weekend for Merseyside, both red and blue, as you say.
In the clash of the cellar dwellers, it was Southampton who were able to cause the upset, winning 2-1 over Ipswich. Of course, they're rooted to the bottom of the table with just 9 points for the season. But finally, a little bit of joy for Southampton fans.
Yeah, first away win of the season, only a second of the season all told for the Saints. They pinched it with 3 minutes to go. Paul Onuachu with the winner. So some slight hope that they might avoid the drop. To be fair, they're still 10 points adrift of safety. It looks pretty hopeless, but they will have enjoyed this one. Conversely, Ipswich, who took the lead through Joe Aribo, Liam Delap got an equaliser. They're second bottom now, looking in big trouble. And again, they just concede too easily. They play some nice football, Ipswich, but they're a bit powder puff defensively. They've conceded 4 now in their last 4, all defeats. And looking as though they might go straight back down to the Championship. But, hard to deny Southampton a bit of joy. It's been a long old winter for them and a first win for their, not so new coach these days, Ivan Juric.
On to the Newcastle-Fulham clash, and it was Fulham who were able to come good in the second half with Jimenez and Muniz able to get the job done. 2-1 winners over the Toon.
Yep, all that after Jacob Murphy had opened the scoring on his 200th game for the club. Newcastle, big disappointment this, because they had the chance to go fourth with Man City not in action until Sunday, and that's now back-to-back home losses for Newcastle. They've got a big week coming up. They've got Arsenal to come in the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Whether they had one eye on that or not, I'm not sure, because they lead 2-0 from the first leg. And, of course, Newcastle are one of those clubs, along with the likes of Tottenham and Villa, who haven't won a trophy in a long time. Domestically, you have to go back to 1955 for the last time Newcastle won a trophy, which is quite astonishing, really, because they seem to have been there or thereabouts for a long time. They did win the old Intercity Fairs Cup, now the Europa League, in 1969. But I think maybe they were distracted by that semi-final during the week. But it's a poor home loss, as I say, back-to-back at home. And Fulham are now only 4 points adrift of Chelsea in 6. You know, they're not beyond the realms of possibility that they could qualify for Europe as well this season.
Important win for Wolves, 2-0 away. 2-0 at home to Aston Villa.
Yeah, massive. Goals from Jean Rickner Bellegarde, and in the 97th minute from Mateus Cunha, who's been at the centre of a lot of headlines this week as to whether he might leave the club. But given the amount of badge kissing and pointing to the shirts after his goal, you'd imagine that means he's staying, at least for the moment. And that lifts them out of the bottom 3. They're up to 17th, the first win since Boxing Day. Vitor Pereira seems to have turned things around to a certain extent for Wolves. Conversely, a bad day for Villa, the post-Champions League blues striking again. This is the 7th time they've played a fixture and not won after playing a Champions League game during the week, which, of course, they did, beating Celtic 4-2. 3 home draws and now 4 consecutive away defeats after a Champions League game. And further bad news for Villa, they suffered an injury to striker Ollie Watkins as well. He went off injured in the week that they sold John Duran, who's ostensibly his replacement, to Al Nassr in the Saudi Pro League. So a few problems for Villa. Again, they miss a chance to close the gap on the top 4, and they've got to find a solution to these matches after the Champions League. Maybe it's a squad depth issue, I'm not sure, but the sale of Duran certainly doesn't help that.
Indeed. Let's have a look at the 4 remaining games from the Premier League for this round. I'll take you through the price and then we can get your predictions. Simon, in the first of them, it's Brentford $2, the draw $3.95, Tottenham $3.30. Manchester United head in the $1.88 favourites, the draw $3.50, Crystal Palace $4.30. Arsenal Man City should be a ripping contest, $1.95 here for Arsenal, the draw $3.50 with Man City $3.90. And the final game sees Chelsea $1.34, the draw $5.30 and $8 West Ham. Take us through your thoughts for the 4 remaining games.
Yeah, I don't know if I can offer you too much value, to be honest. Maybe in the first game, Brentford against Tottenham. Obviously, Spurs, even though they won during the week in the Europa League against Elfsborg to secure safe passage through to the knockout phase, Their league form has been utterly woeful. 4 points out of the last 30. We know they're huge injury problems. They're trying to sign a couple of players, including, interestingly, Johan Wisser, who plays for Brentford, who scored 11 goals this season. Matisse Tell, also heavily linked with Tottenham, a young striker from Bayern Munich, but the rumour is he prefers a move to Manchester United, who are also keen. Brentford are very inconsistent, especially at home. They've lost 4 of the last 5 there. But they are the top scorers in home matches in the Premier League, and I fancy they will take something from this game against Tottenham. Whether it's all 3 or not, I don't know. But I think there's a little bit of value in tipping Brentford for that one. Manchester United against Palace. Again, United up and down, but they've been better in recent weeks. And again, they won in Europe during the week to secure a place in the knockout phase. But Palace are one of those clubs that can go to the big clubs and get a result. They've won 3 times on their last 5 trips to Old Trafford. They've been good on the road since the start of December. They've earned more points away from home than any other team in the Premier League. So, again, there might be a bit of value in either the draw or a Palace win. Arsenal-Man City is a tough one for Man City, to be honest, and I wish I wasn't saying that, obviously, as a Blue myself. But City are way too fragile defensively at the moment. They showed that again, even though they beat Club Brugge in the Champions League during the week. Arsenal unbeaten in 13 games. I just can't see us getting anything there today. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm doing the reverse jinx by saying that Arsenal will win. And in the London derby, I think Chelsea will be too good for West Ham. This is a return, of course, to Stamford Bridge for Graham Potter, who was the former Chelsea manager, and even though Chelsea have won only 1 in their last 7, and again are leaking goals too easily, I think Robert Sanchez, their goalkeeper, has made 5 errors leading to goals this season. I think he'll be dropped today, and I think that could be the difference. I think Chelsea will get the points. So I don't know what that tots up to, but maybe the value is in the games at Old Trafford and at Brentford.
Okay, so we'll go Brentford the win in the Man U Crystal Palace game draw, Arsenal the win and Chelsea the win, $18.29. That looks like a pretty nice multi for the punters. Very good.
Yeah, so, big day in the A-League yesterday, Simon. We had Sydney FC 4, Adelaide 1, Auckland 2, Macarthur 1, Central Coast Mariners and Newcastle Jets a 2-all draw, and Perth Glory 0, Melbourne Victory 2.
Yeah, let's start with your boys over there in the West. Perth Glory, unfortunately, just not good enough in both boxes again. Second half goals by Nishan Balupale and Clarice Mario Santos, who's scored a few in the recent weeks, enough to move Victory up to 3rd, who confirmed Arthur Dillis as their full-time coach only on Friday. Glory had 15 shots during the 90 minutes, but only 4 of them on target, Adam Taggart having 1 cleared off the line. Again, it's a rebuilding season for Glory. I don't think they're going to finish bottom because Brisbane are probably worse than Glory, which is, to be fair, not saying too much. Victory's still back in the mix. The other games, Auckland go 5 points clear at the top, got a late winner thanks to Louis Verstrata, an error from Philip Curto, flapped to the free kick badly. And they're 5 points clear because Adelaide got absolutely thumped in Sydney. I called this one yesterday. Not quite as one-sided as the scoreline suggests. Adelaide ruined a lot of missed opportunities in a very even first half, but Sydney took their chances very well. Joe Lolly with his 9th of the season. Patrick Klimala just 13 seconds after the restart. Adrian Segicic and Anthony Caceres with the 4th. Dylan Parias with the response for Adelaide. A rip-roar and F3 derby. Good game, this one. Newcastle coming from 2-0 down to grab a point thanks to a late header from Mark Napper. Typical derby fare. So, yeah, all in all, a good day in the A-League. Very busy day, 4 matches. And at the end of it all, Auckland's looking as though they might be odds on to claim a first ever piece of silverware for a club from New Zealand in the Australian domestic leagues.
Stunning season today, 15 games, 10 wins, 3 draws and just the 2 losses. So no doubt to everyone across the ditch delighted with the way they are going. Simon, we're always delighted with what you give us on a Sunday morning here on The Aftermath. Thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend and look forward to our chat again this time next week.
Pleasure, guys. Have a great week.
There he goes, Simon Hill, as he does every Sunday. 21.4 degrees here in Perth, 24 minutes past 6 o'clock. Quick break. Rob Hickmott is up next.
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on The Aftermath. Sunday morning at its best on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Flushing Tycooner coming through, and there's a run big enough for a Mack truck for Revelare if it's good enough. Independent Road at the 300, joined by Shiny New Deal. Revelare is now hitting its straps, and then came Dragoon. Shiny New Deal at the 200, joined by Revelare. Revelare from Shiny New Deal, who won't go away. Revelare just in front of Shiny New Deal. Revelare wins it. Revelare's just won it from Shiny New Deal. 5 leagues Dragoon to Shino.
Okay, there's a win of Revelare yesterday. Rob Hickmott joins us, who trains this imposing galloper. A very good morning, Rob. How are you?
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We're going well. I just want to find out first off, right off the top, how did he pull up the big horse?
Yeah, good. He licked his bowl. He's a big, tough bugger. We've got he's a 558 kilo horse, so he's got a huge appetite. And it was good off a tough run that he went home and licked his bowl, and we even give him some extra, and he put it away. So very happy with him this morning.
You'd have been delighted with the way that the horse finished off there, Rob. Yesterday, turning for home, there were prospects of it being potentially a little bit sticky, but things did turn out quite nicely. There were a couple of horses that went wide on the track, and as Matty Hill alluded to, that room did appear for Revelare. And to the credit of the horse, once it saw that clear air, the horse let down really nicely.
He did. Look, it's beautiful open expanses at Sandown. It's just a terrific track, and thank God sanity's prevailed and we're keeping it. Look, it was very well handled by Ryan. I thought that he showed a good level head. We were going to push forward and hopefully try and get the 1-1, but when the pace really come on the race, he elected just to drop him back, and the horses... he's got a good horse's trait of being able to settle and drop his head on his chest, and that enables him to finish off at the right end like he has been his last couple. So he's been very well handled by the boy, and very proud of him. He's a bit of a journeyman, but he's hopefully can make his name in Victorian racing, and you need a headliner, and hopefully this horse can provide him with plenty more success.
I don't think you can underestimate what this horse has done in 2 weeks, or in a week, Rob, I should say, the backup. Last week, mile, they walk. He runs some amazing sectionals for a big horse like him who's ultimately going to stay. And then yesterday, they go lickety split. They run 146, 47. They still run huge splits home, but if you have a look at his sectionals, the 1400 fastest of the meeting, the 1200 the third fastest, 1,000 metres the second fastest. He's come 55.8 for his 1,000 metres. It's quite amazing what he's been doing in this last week.
It has been, yeah. Look, they can do that at Sandown, down the hill where they can, as it in last week, they can really skip home. But as you alluded to, coming off that very strong tempo to be able to do it at that end off a track record was, something that, although the track was firm and it was a very hot day, and we don't see those sort of tracks a hell of a lot, but it still gave the run more credit, and he's still not the finished product yet. He's still learning his trade, and he's just only going to get better and better being out of as a Beale mare. We saw a lot of them at Lloyd Williams's, and from preparation to preparation, they can really go ahead. So hoping that what we're seeing now is only something to come in these future preparations.
Indeed, and Rob, obviously the pedigree of the horse, as you've alluded to, there's very strong staying lines on the way through. We've seen the horse stretch out there from the 1600 first up out to the 1800 there yesterday within the space of a week. What are the plans in store for Revelare heading forward? Obviously, there's plenty of nice races in this country a little later in the year over longer journeys that this horse, if it can continue to progress, would be suited by. What do you do with Revelare between now and the spring, and sort of how do you just continue to tick things over and work through the classes?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't want to rush him yet. This is all about seasoning and getting him ready for a big spring carnival. It was a beautiful benchmark 78 at Flemington over 2,000. I just hope that the handicappers aren't too harsh on his penalty after breaking a track record there yesterday. He's currently a 71, so they give him 6 or 7 points. He'd still get there with 60 kilos. He's a massive horse. I don't think the weight would worry him still at 78 grade. And look, we could just assess him thereafter. There is another 2084 a couple of weeks after that on Newmarket Day, I think it is. So that'll probably do him for the preparation and give him that spell and, have him give him a nice base preparation leading into a spring campaign, give him that time to really... We don't really need him to furnish. He's a very athletic horse. As I said, he was 5.58 on the scales yesterday, but he's a big boy, all over, very long and big and heavy-boned. And we don't want to see a 600-kilo horse. The bigger the horse, the bigger the problem. But thus far, touch wood, he's been very sound in how he's gone about his job.
Hey, Rob, you mentioned earlier on a trait of a good horse is he drops his head and just relaxes. I have seen videos of him coming off the track after he works. He looks like he gets a bit above himself in training.
Yeah, not on the track. It's only coming off the track. Yeah. He's probably saying, get me home into me tucker. He just wants to get home and get it over and done with, back in his box so he can eat. He's that sort of horse, but he goes round and a kid could ride him. He could ride him on a piece of cotton on the track, and he has got that bit of a trait to get up and about on the way home, but we can put up with that. Yeah. As he's such a dude of a horse on the track.
Wow, indeed. Rob, it was a good day all round. Bel Toro was an excellent performance there yesterday from the camp, finishing runner-up behind First Immortal in what was a really nice staying event, the benchmark 100 over the 2,400 metres. You would have been really happy with the effort handed in by Bel Toro. Very promising signs heading forward.
Yeah, very much so. He ran very similar sectionals to Rebel Air the week before. He ran home 32.67, so off a mile and a half, his first mile and a half run, it was a very encouraging effort. Getting back into a bit of form. Owners have been, very patient, been a long time since he's won, but he's going as good as he ever has, although he's getting a bit of an older horse. But he's out of his appeal mare as well, and, you never know. He a bit like Revelare, he just relaxes beautifully, and... there is the Lord Reigns and the Adelaide Cup in the upcoming weeks, which, if we happen to salute in the Lord Reigns, well, you give the Adelaide Cup plenty of consideration with his breeding. And it could be an achievable goal if all things go to plan.
Rob, I've got to ask you about one from Friday night, Hey Now, Hey Now. Was the plan to be up there just on the pace, or what was the story there?
No, not from me. I think I said to Craig, just let it relax, find her feet. The fence was off, come down the middle of the track, so things went haywire there, but she has pulled up with an issue. So she sustained a little injury to her right fore, which we'll find out more on Monday with the scan. But, very unfortunate, highly talented filly who we had some big plans for the autumn, and looks like they'll be on hold. Or at least until Monday till we get some clearer vision on what the injury is overall.
Rob, anything else from the camp for our early listeners that are up nice and early with us on this Sunday morning? Obviously, we're continuing to follow Revelare and Bel Toro when it heads to Adelaide, but was there anything else from the camp that's potentially there over the next couple of weeks we can follow closely?
I've got a nice Star Spangled Banner filly and a Ole Kirk 2-year-old that are going particularly well. I'll probably step them out at the trials, but just keep your eye open for them in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Ole Kirk especially is a beautiful big colt. We will give him plenty of time. He's a big boy. I think the Ole Kirks are going to be better 3-year-olds than they are 2-year-olds, and he's doing a terrific job. So I really like him going forward, and I think we can have a lot of fun with him. The light field is a very athletic Star Spangled Banner filly with plenty of natural ability. Another filly, she's a little bit immature. We haven't pushed her along yet, but she's showing great signs at this stage of her preparation as well.
Rob, thanks for coming on the show today. Continued success.
Yes, thanks, boys, and I hope Evo's listening over there, and Matty Blake. commiserations to Matty. I heard he lost his father too over there. So
he did, yep.
It's some little bit of a tonic for you, Blakey, and we'll talk soon, mate.
All the best. There he goes, Rob Hickmott, after the win yesterday at Revelare. Let's take a break and come back and find out what's been going on over east with Chris Nelson and Racetrack Ralphy.
Sunday morning, we will do the talking on the Aftermath with Marty Young and David Shortte on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
See what we've got to talk about too a little later on, and put the replay of that AG Hunter Cup. What a race it was.
Absolute belter there last night, Marty. It was an absolute ripper, and looking forward to having a chat about that a little bit later on in the program today. But I'll tell you, the build-up was really, really spectacular there last night to the feature race, and obviously there's a fair bit of interest because with our slot race coming up not too far away, a couple of the key runners will be involved there. So well done to Swayze. Leap to Fame didn't lose too many fans though with that effort, finishing runner-up, and Republican Party off the good draw was well placed as well. Great race.
Chris Nelson, a very good morning.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty.
Oh, Chris Nelson. Let's have a look at them. We'll go to Rose Hill first off, and the 2-year-olds routing force, the Canterbury Stakes over the 1,100 metres. It was Blitzberg. Race experience to the 4, and Tyler Schiller getting the money.
So if Brad had been on this morning, he'd be beside himself with Blitzberg winning, that's for sure. Look, the two-year-old races at Rose Hill yesterday, they were run completely different, or race shapes were completely different. This one, Blitzberg led and was able to control it. It was more of a sprint home, whereas the Widden, which we'll get to, was more of they went hard early, or Playwright went hard, was able to hold on, and the backmarkers ran on late. But Blitzberg, had everything to order here, straight to the front, controlled the tempo and was able to win comfortably. Look, there was a couple of flops here. Burma Star was the 250 favourite. It was a flop. It was beaten 3.5, and Tropic, who had trialled well, it was $3.60. It was an even bigger flop, beaten 8 lengths, just offered nothing in the straight. So those two, I don't know where we go with those two. There were no obvious excuses, and there was nothing in the stewards' reports. Hillier was probably the best run of the race. First starter by Zoostar, cost $500,000. Annabelle Neesham, Rob Archibald. It was the one that made ground against the tempo. So out of that race, take nothing away from Blitzberg, but it did have conditions to suit. Hillier, clearly the best run of the race.
Yeah, interesting too, listening to the comments post-race from Gerald Ryan, that he's not aiming up at the slipper at this stage with his horse. He's happy enough to keep at that lower level and pick off some low-lying fruit. So, it might not be a form race that we take too much notice of heading forward from a Golden Slipper perspective. And Chris, just quickly before we go into the rest of these races, I found it a really difficult day there yesterday at Rose Hill. There were a number of sort of puzzling results on the way through. What did you make of the track there yesterday? It was a tricky day for a lot of riders, and even some of the top riders had relatively quiet days.
Well, J-Mac didn't ride a winner until the last race, which was Yorkshire, which was a short price favourite. But it was funny, early on, we had a bit of a leader domination, and everyone's running around saying this is a leader's track, they're not going to make any ground. But if you look at the race tempos of the races, you'll see that wasn't the case in those races where they did lead and win while the tempo was there to suit. So I would say the track played okay, but the differing tempos of each race proved basically the result.
Fair enough. Let's have a look at race number 4. It was another for the 2-year-olds, this time for the girls, the Widden Stakes, and it was the Playwright for Regan Bayliss, proving too good for Tempted and Schnitzel Miss.
Yeah, typical Waterhouse spot win here from the Playwright. As I said, the tempo in this race was much stronger than the tempo in the Canterbury. And these other fillies, Tempted and Schnitzel Miss, who sat back second last and last, well, they had the tempo to run on, and they did. And they nearly got the Playwright, but he was too tough. Now, they were both very good. Tempted sat back last on the fence, saved ground in the straight, obviously, and then weaved through late to just miss. I'd say in one more bound, Tempted wins the race. Now, she's progressed really nicely from that debut win in a midweeker. Schnitzel Miss was on debut. She trialled well. She probably looked the winner halfway down the straight. She was picking up really good ground, but maybe just peaked a little late, but the margin there on the line was an eyelash. So I think you can follow. Look, you can follow probably all of those three. I don't know that they'll feature in a Golden Slipper. But, look, they may do. Tempted's right there.
I'm tempted.
Tempted's right there. There's a lot of people that are on Tempted at big odds. So I don't know. I just look at the play right and think, well, I don't really think he's a Golden Slipper chance, yet he was probably the best run in the race because he was able to tough it out.
Oh, Chris,
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know what happened at the start there, but if Tempted jumps even 3 lengths closer, it would have won by 4. It's $21 for the Golden Slipper. I know you've probably missed 50s and 100s, but if you wanted to spec one at the moment, that was absolutely massive yesterday. Massive.
Well, and she did settle closer in that debut win, so you've got a good point there, Marty. But, I don't know.
I like the breeding. Love the breeding of this horse, Tempted. It's a street boss out of a Exceed and Excel. I don't know. It caught my eye, put it that way.
Yeah, well, it had to. It and Schnitzel Miss. I mean, Schnitzel Miss was just as good, almost, except for the start. And she was on debut, so she's going to come forward leaps and bounds as well. So
Yep, point
I think that's definitely the stronger race than the other one, that's for sure.
Group 3, Southern Cross Stakes, race number 8 on the program, over the 1,200 metres. And here it was Walado that was able to get the bob in late, just in the nick of the time for the punters that got involved there, defeating Iona Merck and Broodnell. A couple of bubbles burst here, namely Accredited, who I was pretty keen on yesterday, Chris, and it put in an absolute shocker.
Yeah, it did. Pulled up 1/5 lame. So can we take that as an excuse?
Well, we can. I pulled up 3/5 lame after watching the race personally, but I'm a big Joey Pride man. The horse seemed to have a pretty reasonable run in the home straight. I thought was still in the mix, but just didn't let down there yesterday.
No, maybe that lameness had something to do with it, but you're right. A different performance from what we've seen of that horse recent runs. Look, the pace here was set by Hard to Say. He was always going to stop because he just does not get 1,200. You can throw J-Mac on him, but he still won't get 1,200 metres, and he didn't. I thought Walado was good because Walado did all the chasing behind Hard to Say. Was probably left exposed. Iona Merck was going to run straight past, but Iona Merck just shifted in late. Last 50 metres, Timmy Clark had to stop riding. It was full on under the whip, and then this horse just shifted in, had a bit of a shift in towards Broodnell. Timmy Clark stopped riding, and I would say that cost the horse the race. So Iona Merck probably should have won. Walado was brave in doing so. I thought Disneck, up to this stronger grade, was quite good because he got a long way back, but he made some good ground. He was only beaten just over a length on the line, so he measured up quite okay.
Melburnian's got the money in race 9. Grand Impact for Price and Kent.
Yeah, this was a bit of a dash home, and the on-pace horses were suited. Grand Impact sat second outside Shalale, who led. Shalale was an $81 chance, so wasn't going to be in the finish, but Grand Impact was. And a roper in her 3-kilo claim carried 57 kilos. Held off a couple of horses who I think are ready to win. Eye of the Fire ran on well, and Spring Lee was second up, ran on nicely. Tempo Against, as I mentioned, third up next time, should be ready to win. So that's a race where we could see some future winners. All
right, and the lucky last, this horse with big wraps on it, Yorkshire, able to get the job done once again there yesterday. Runner-up, very good though, Sandpaper. And the third horse was thrown out by Ronnie Duffy with the boys on Friday morning at very big odds. I think it was around 81 when he threw it out earlier on the week on X. He sort of said, don't be surprised if this horse runs a good race, and it did exactly that, running third at $5.25 the place. But Yorkshire heading forward, a horse that looks to have plenty in store, but the runner-up very good as well.
Yeah, I thought exactly the same, and this figure out of this race time-wise was clearly the best of the day, so this is a good form race going forward. We know Yorkshire's good. Sandpaper sat second. Avalua set a strong tempo, so the race was set up for Yorkshire to get home hard, and he did. But, gee, Sandpaper sitting second gave it a terrific sight. I think Sandpaper's the horse to follow out of the race. Obviously, Yorkshire, but he's going to start short everywhere he goes. But certainly follow Sandpaper out of that. That was a very game performance.
Okay, up to Doom. And look at a couple of races up here. Race number 6, it was Fukabana winning for Matty Dunn and Andrew Mellion up along the inside.
Yeah, just thought I'd touch on this race. It really was a sit spree and a dash home. Fukabana behind the leader on the fence, got that rails run, was able to score. No name Frank led every possible chance. Now, there's one to follow out of this race. Pro Forma ran 4th. He was 3 wide, no cover, 2 starts back. And then yesterday he got back in the field. Tempo, as I said, against. Ran into some traffic at the top of the straight, and he was the one finishing off strongly over the closing stages, beaten 1.3 lengths. He will be winning soon. Pro Forma.
Pro Forma. Get the old black line, art line out, punters. Put it next to that horse. Continue to follow. Fukabana heading in, Chris. Listening to the preview, had Chelwolf form heading in. Had to be pretty hard to beat there yesterday in a Class 2, surely.
Yeah, the only problem was with Kookaburra. He's the sort of horse that doesn't generally jump all that well. He finds himself midfield or worse, and that gate yesterday, gate 1 at Doomben, if that's where you are in the run, you can be in a lot of trouble. But full credit to Andrew Melling because he had him right behind the leader. Unfortunately, that gap came in the straight along the fence. But, yeah, he's got some pretty good form. And, look, if he gets things his way, he can win more races, that's for sure.
Indeed. And one of Marty's favourite hoops anywhere on the planet is young Bailey Wheeler. And Bailey Wheeler fans were doing cartwheels after the last there yesterday. Took out the Gibson Class 4, nailing Mintaka Lad late in the piece. Lubrication was back in third position. Chris, talk us through the last. I know you were pretty keen. Mintaka Lad, do we follow up next time round?
We do, and I can tell you guys, I was certainly not doing cartwheels. When I saw Volcanic Love appear down the outside, I was doing the opposite. This was a huge run, Mintaka Lad. He drew 10 of 12. I thought Jimmy Orman would really go handlebars down early and try and get up outside the lead. Well, he didn't. He just sat there 3 wide. Look, he held the horse together and still looked the winner probably 100 metres from the line, but was vulnerable late. And here you go, Volcanic Love and Marty and Bailey Wheeler arrived on the scene. So all credit to the winner, but going forward, I want to be with Mintaka Lad.
There's no Marty involved there. I discovered the kid and I reckon I've backed him twice in my life. He's ridden about 258 winners, normally at double-figure odds. Fair dinkum. The Morley, he should be paying me spotters fees. Hey, what about Sunshine Coast today? And I've got to ask you, Chris, how's that weather north of you up, Townsville way? Is it as bad as they predicted?
Yeah, it is. So I was just looking at some figures on the radar before, and I can bring them up quickly if you've got 2 seconds.
Of course we have.
Townsville's had 253 millimetres of rain since yesterday morning at 9 a.m.
Wow.
I think the day before was more than that. Just looking at it, north of there, Ingham has had 388 mils since 9 o'clock yesterday morning.
They were tipping a metre. Some places to get a metre over 3 days.
That's unbelievable. That's flood.
Oh, yeah.
That's nasty flooding all over it. Imagine opening up the front door and half your house would end up up to your waist. Oh, that's so... all we can do is pass on our thoughts to everyone up in that region as well. That'd be devastating. So the sandbags will be out. Plenty of people doing their best to minimise the damage up there. Sunny Coast racing today. Chris, anything for the punters there?
Yeah, I've got a few here today. Race 1, number 5, Krakenthorpe each way. Race 4, number 4, Encrypted Elegance each way. Race 5, number 3, Artie Pants. And race 6, number 3, Victory Flame.
Wow.
Very nice. So I've got race 1, number 5, race 4, number 4, race 5, number 3, and race 6, number 3.
Give them strength.
Love your work. Thank you very much, Chris Nelson. Appreciate your time as always. Enjoy your Sunday, mate.
Pleasure, guys. Have a good day.
All the best. Let's go straight to Racetrack, Ralphy. A very good morning.
Good morning, boys. Sandown was a nice little meeting, and it's going to set up a good carnival racing coming up. Track played absolutely perfectly. Very fast times.
Fast times, good 4. It stayed a good 4 to go to good 3.
Yeah. It finished good 3. I'm saying it's a fast 2 when they run 1:21.7 in the 1400 and the 1800. They broke the track record, but we're not allowed to say it's fast 2, even though that's what it was.
Even if it is, yeah. Welcome to free speech. Race number 1, the 1200. Enver's got this horse flying. New York Luster.
Well, two fantastic rides here. So Jamie Mellon, Jamie Carr, now Jamie Mellon, just sat off Ryan Houston, who rode this horse to absolute perfection. I found the post-race interview really fascinating with Jamie, that she thought it bolted and she wasn't sure if she got her wrong, thinking she could run out 1200. And then Enver said he was in New Zealand, look at the yearlings, and it might have got away with him, and maybe didn't do enough work. So I wouldn't say she can't run 1200. I think we'll learn more next start. She's all shenanigans is just in the zone. And I think Johnny McArdle would be very happy with El Rocco's first up run.
Small but select field of stayers going around in race number 2, the Henley Holmes, bet much 100 over the 2,400 metres, Ralphie, but ended up being a good race. First Immortal ran away from them, though, late, defeating Belturo and Mystery Island.
Yeah, once again, just a class rider saying, well, you can just do what you like. This was Jet Stanley on Le Don de Vie. and made the pack go as slowly as possible on First Immortal. And they've run, they run about 12 seconds slow, 12 lengths rather, slower than the next race that we'll get to. So this was perfect for First Immortal. Also, I think it was perfect for Bel Toro and wasn't perfect for Mystery Island nor Night Endeavour. They're genuine stayers. So I wouldn't be writing off either, particularly that there was money for Mystery Island, and I think he's probably ready to win in a similar sort of 2,400.
Okay, let's talk about that next race over the 2,400 metres.
Yeah, Golden State Warrior was a bit soft in the market pre-race, and there it was out the back. So I would put it this way, I'd be very surprised if next start he's at a harder race with a weight drop and he wins. So there we go, nice and simple.
It was a run, wasn't it?
It was a run. They don't pay on shooters, no. But let's just. I would think that they've got the Adelaide Cup targeted at a guess, and that next start, like I said, he'll go to probably a benchmark 90 or something with 54 kilos and win.
Gee, it was working through the gears late, wasn't it? Extending over the concluding stages.
Yep. Sandown Lakeside also tighter than Hillside, short and straight.
Into the Black Book, punters. Don't miss out next time out. I'll be following my money there. A race number 4, benchmark 70 over the 7 furlongs. It was Russian Meteor and Jamie Mott defeating Impressive Enough and Quebec.
Yeah, the jockey's the one to follow, or just keep following. He's had a fantastic summer, Jamie Mott, and this is just basic stock. Punters are interesting. Quebec couldn't run 1,400 at Cranbourne. I'm not sure why it would at Sandown, but there you go. Good on them.
Race number 5 on the program. I'm still in the corner rocking here, Ralphie. Ian Karuna was the winner for Daniel Moore, but sort of legacy. I followed the money in here with the lane train yesterday and thought we'd got the cash, but when they went to that photo finish, it was Inkaruna who was able to get the bob in with Daniel Moore. Damien Lane, for a rare occasion, had to be content with second in a tight finish. Hot Sea was back in third.
Absolutely. I think this was a jockey change, wasn't it? Craig Williams was meant to ride it, and Dan Moore got the cash there. Look, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Hayasugi won this race last year by a nose. I think, and I know you did your cash yesterday, Shorty, but I reckon in a fortnight's time there'll be a panel between Inkaruna and Sort of Legacy, so I don't know what else is coming, but I sort of read this, that this is what Team Freeman does, and they're so good at it. They let it off the chain in a Mornington jump out, and then they got it to relax and hit the line at Caulfield in a Caulfield Heath jump out. And I thought, hang on, this is what they do with their good ones. Mm-hmm. So Dan also had to take inside runs, and I looked at the head-on. He had no choice. Definitely super wide is a better ground at Sandown over 1,000. So what I'm saying is there was an eyelash between them yesterday. I think there's a big gap between them talent-wise going forward, and Inkaruna might be a serious one because we can line it up with race 6 that we may as well get to, and there was only 0.4 of a length between them, and that's what I like seeing, that when the 2-year-olds start running similar times to the older horses, start taking note. Okay,
roll into race 6. It was mighty.
It was very mighty. Yes, this was just a beauty. We black booked him after his Moonee Valley run, floated a bit up the straight. I love it when good jockeys stick with horses off a bad run, and there's a gear change. So that it generally says the jockey has good faith in the horse. Probably similar with First Immortal, it wasn't a gear change, but Blake chose to stuck with him after Fleming and a seemingly plain run, and this was the case again yesterday. He owned this race from midfield. If you just watch him and the replay, the 600, he's like 5, he's probably 8 lengths off him, and just owned it. So that's his go. They're all similar sort of type of horses, the first 4, and they can, find the right races, but can't be in a hurry to stamp any. But mighty, 1,000 metres round the bend is his go.
Yep, keep it in your black book, punters. On to race number 7 there on the Lakeside. First leg of the quaddie yesterday, benchmark 70 for the 3-year-olds over the 1,800 metres. And the late scratching here was the key. I was pretty keen on emphasise yesterday, Ralphie. It came out late. That left the door ajar for Entrusting to get the job done with Mark Zara aboard.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I would say the horse to follow is the horse that didn't race in it. So, they've, I know they flew in the next race, but they've run much, much softer time. Yeah. Entrusting's had a few runs. Mary Eliza, it's not a bad filly going forward. Mr. Verse has had a lot of runs, and the race shape was dead against it yesterday. But I think Emphasise is, I know it'll probably start short next start, but that was its race to win yesterday.
Just spoke to Robbie Hickmott. Looks like he's got a real nice horse here with Revelare.
The full title, please. Former Melbourne champion, Robbie Hickmott.
Yes. Okay, sorry.
couple of games for the D's in the late 80s.
Yep.
and well, I'll just take on board whatever he says. I think the horse to follow out of it as well as Shiny New Deal. The interesting thing, Vince's figures aren't through yet, but they must have flown along here.
Wow.
At this type of time. But as we said last week, that was when we were talking about him and Sir Atlas. It's one thing to win in slow time, but you still have to measure the kick down, and it's serious sprint last week. So you can't get a better setup than a soft tempo to a fast tempo on a quick backup situation. So he had no flatness, and there was money for Shiny New Deal at odds. So I think Gavin Bedgecook, this is lightly raced, and it must have some upside. It's got a lot of wet track form in its short career, so maybe that's its go. It's got a bit of talent. We haven't yet seen it, so they space the rest, and can't be interested in anything else from that race going forward. But he's got a nice one.
Race number 9, the Lamaros Hotel Jeffrey Belmain Stakes Group 3 level over the 1,200 metres. Hooly dooly. She's bulletproof. Wow. This was something yesterday. One of my favourite wins anywhere in this great nation yesterday afternoon. Ralphy, I know Marty was pretty keen on it when he spoke to the punters on Friday Drive and Thursday afternoon as well here on TAB Radio. I was in the studio with him watching, and at the furlong when Mark Zara had a little whistle up to She's Bulletproof, whooshka, off it went. This was some win.
This was super. And look, no surprise on her Moonee Valley run, on her Caulfield run, and then Geelong was the little head scratcher. And there was one of two positions. Was it screwed down or was it 7 weeks between runs? And found interesting after race, Charlotte Littlefield said that.
Yep.
She got it away from her. Really big mare. Now they know to just keep the work into her. And the last two winners, and obviously we're about to get to the other one, but the last two winners were just super. So she smashed them. Having said that, Fancify Caulfield 1400, surely
very good.
Diamond Day.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go. 1400 is his wheelhouse, so I don't think it could have run any better at 1200. And Miraval Rose, a bit disappointing. Who trains Miraval Rose? I can't get my. I can't find
the penguin.
He's too good for me.
Unbelievable. And
you didn't fall in, did you? Tell me you didn't.
I saved it.
The lucky last, a name dropper getting the job done, defeating Impending Link and Umgawa.
Well, it says track record, 121.7, and it's done it up the front. We stamped the Flemington win. It was just super. The only question was, would it be flat? Well, 3 weeks between runs was perfect for it. And you just got to say all honours. I mean, they all had a chance to run it down. So I don't think it's finished winning, benchmark 84. So like I said, a really nice meeting, some good horses to follow out of it. Definitely She's Bulletproof, definitely Revelare. And of those who got beaten, let's say Fancify and Golden State Warrior for the Black Book.
Thanks, Ralphy.
On The Aftermath, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Morning, Marty. Good morning, Shortte. Good to be with you, boys.
He's been up all night counting your money. You've got plenty, they tell me. Hey?
Yeah, 39, 38, 36. I just thought I'd give you the temperature here the next 3 days. So,
wow, get the $400 cash back.
Yeah, exactly right. But he's got a run out on TVs at the moment, Shorty. All 2024 models. Out they go at Retrovision. So if you need a new TV, Marty, go and buy 2. That's your regular go.
Yes.
So go and get 2 there from Morts, and maybe go out and see Lisa at Ellenbrook. There's a nice store out there. She might buy you a cup of tea, Mark.
Magnificent store out there. Now, what about last night on one of those 2024 TVs? We watched the Hunter Cup. Let's relive.
But he's going to have to do it the hard way. 3 back the inside is Republican Party. And then 50 outside Don Hugo now with a bit of cover. 4 back along the pegs is Hector. Then Can't Find a Better Man the outside. MacDan 5 back the pegs with 1,200 left to travel. Captain's Knock next the outside of Canina Problema. And then Don't Stop Dreaming and Max Delight. Along the front straight in the 2025 Sportsbet AG Hunter Cup, and Swayze the leader. First quarter 28-1. He's trying to break their hearts. He's 5 metres in front of Tack McLeod. Leap to Fame third the outside. Republican Party 3 back the pegs has had a good set. it. 4 back the inside is Hector. Around it was Don Hugo. Next, Can't Find a Better Man from Mac Dan, Captain's Knock. And then Kanina Provlima, second last, Don't Stop Dreaming. And Max the Lights last of all as they head into the back. The second quarter, 28-1 again. And it's Swayze along the back straight, shaken up 4 metres in front of Tack McLeod, who'll be awaiting on the Garrard sprint lane. Leap to Fame and neck away third, but he's closing in now, the champ. Then in fourth spot is Don Hugo. Next, the inside Republican Party, and then Can't Find a Better Man. Off the back straight, it's Swayze responding 3 metres. 2 Leap to Fame right there is Tack McLeod third. Don Hugo about to peel out 3 wide. Off the back, 27 for the third quarter. It's Swayze just in front. Leap to Fame breathes down his neck. No. Leap to Fame loomed up to Swayze. Tack McLeod gets the run. Then Don Hugo. It's Swayze. Leap to Fame. Tack McLeod getting through with Republican Party. Swayze kicks on. Leap to Fame lifting. Swayze and Leap to Fame, and Swayze does it. What a race. What a race. Swayze, what a win from Leap to Fame, Republican Party.
Getting the job done there last night and doing it from the front for Cam Hart there and Jason Grimson. Swayze, a $5 chance, and of course, what a phenomenal outcome for the mum of both Swayze and Leap to Fame. Let Us Reason produces the Quinella there in the Hunter Cup overnight. Excellent performance as well from Republican Party back in third. But Bradley, this was music to the ears of many a person at Tab Touch headquarters, because they were the first people that put their hand up and said, prior to this race last night, we've got our horse for the Nullarbor, our big slot race. It will be Swayze. Swayze then comes out and wins the Hunter Cup, and Tuppy Nowlan, they tell me, was unspotted. He might have been the bloke at the lights earlier on this morning there, sucking in the big one, celebrating after a big night. What a win this was, Brad.
Yeah, watched it live, Shortte. It was absolutely magnificent. And how many times did Leap to Fame look like he had Swayze's measure, particularly at the 100? You thought, he's going to go on with it now. He's going to beat Big Brother. He's going to go past him. But Swayze, it was like a scene out of Roadhouse, Marty, all those years ago.
Yes,
Patrick Swayze, he just kept fighting and just beating them off. And yeah, fabulous. I thought Republican Party was a little stiff, but Tack McLeod was big at good odds as well. It was a fantastic. Hugo wasn't far away. I really loved it. So what a race. It's just it was one for the ages, as they say.
Some were thinking Roadhouse, some were thinking Dirty Dancing, Bradley.
That's where I was going, Dirty Dancing. Got to say, that was a terrific call for Dan Malecki. That, just listening to it there without even, if you hadn't watched it. Yeah, it was a ripper. Yep. You know that race is only worth $250,000?
I know.
That is unders.
It was one of the highest profile races growing up over here in Melbourne.
Correct.
In the footy days, Shorty in the 80s. Oh, it was massive. It was like the Perth Cup. It was huge.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
Unfortunately, as you say, it's still a Group 1, so they won't sneeze at it, but. You're right, Marty. I mean, the prize money could do with a little kick along, I'm sure.
The calibre of the field, though,
$1 million race every day.
I was going to say that's as good as you could get. And I know we talk a little bit about the Nullarbor, but gee whiz, if we can end up with a field something that resembles something like this, the powers that be would be absolutely delighted. So, it's always been one of my favourites, sort of in my top handful of races on the harness calendar each year, and it never fails to deliver. And last night's another great example of it. That was on for a fair way from home, and you've got the absolute top flight. Leap to Fame, while it was beaten, I don't think it lost too many admirers there last night. And it's really shaping up as being some sort of race coming up on our doorstep, the Nullarbor, later in the year, Brad.
Yeah, well, Cameron Hart made the decision early, didn't he, Marty? He said, well, I'm going to go around him, and I'm going to go to the front. It took him a good while. He got there by the end of the first lap, but the bottom line was he still had to work reasonably, and they didn't really give him a chance to back off too much, Short. It was a really tough effort. So, yeah, bring it on. Bring on the Nullarbor.
Just a quick one, too. I want to hand out a bouquet to Brittany Graham and the job that she does for harness racing in this country. She turns up to wherever there's a big race meeting on for the trots. She's there. She presents in magnificent fashion. She's so professional. She presents incredibly well. She's come across, and she'll be across here, no doubt, for the Nullarbor as well. But to have a young person with the energy and the love for the sport that she has as the person that's fronting it up, it does make you want to find out more and be involved and have a bet on the race and be involved in the sport. And she is an absolute credit to harness racing, the job she's doing right now.
And the thing with that, when you're doing that trackside interview, doesn't matter, or just general interviews per se, I mean, not being smart. I mean, the bottom line, you ask the talent the questions and you get the answers, and she just delivered it up beautifully, and she gave them a half volley outside off stump, and everybody she spoke to was able to give us something and give us something, and sitting in our lounge room saying, oh, okay, is that what they're thinking? Okay, right, no worries, because she said, well, I'm going to ask you, Grant, because I don't know what you're going to do. What are you going to do? It was great. So always remember that the talent is the person that you want to hear from.
Exactly right. Yeah, not the interviewer. One thing that I've been impressed with her, she's been doing a bit of work on the gallops, just in faraway Queensland meetings and all that. And when you listen to her tips before the races, she'll nail them.
Yeah, she's very good.
She's no mug.
No, she knows her form very well. And you can tell, because she's obviously grown up in a harness family as well, the instant respect that is there when she speaks to the drivers. She's a driver still herself in her own right as well. So she's competed against these people. They respect her enormously. And to have her there getting that insight, as Brad alluded to pre-race, it is absolutely, it's so important for people at home tuning in to get them excited and also getting onto their Tab Touch accounts and having a bet, which is what keeps the game up and rolling. Great night for harness racing, and well done to all concerned there with a Hunter Cup. Looking forward to seeing Swayze across here strutting its stuff in the Nullarbor. Bradley, lots going on in the world of AFL. Unfortunately, not a lot of great stuff. There's been a truckload of injuries in the pre-season, and I'm feeling for a lot of these guys who've worked their backsides off to get themselves into tip-top form by this time of the year, and then they have their first sort of week of hardcore physical training, and a bunch of these players right across the competition have found themselves on the sidelines for a significant period.
Yeah, Marty and I had a chat off air on Friday about this, because obviously Marty's involved. He loves that sort of stuff. He worked a lot with Matty Barber, and you've got to get those blocks right, boys. You've got to make sure that they're continuous and you're getting a little bit better, not flat out, but getting a little bit better, building. And, I'm pleased to see that the guy conditioning out at Carlton came out in support of that this morning, as a matter of fact, what we were talking about, Marty, because you got to, you get into a situation, Shorty, where you get them up to, 1 week before Christmas, and off they go for 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks by themselves. And let me tell you, you can go away and you might be the most diligent person in the world, and you'll do your training, but you never train as well or as hard when you're in the group. And I just reckon they've got to start them later, Marty, as you and I were talking about, maybe the 3rd week of November, Shorty, not the 1st of November, and then go right through Christmas, New Year. Now, people will jump up and down and say, oh, you've got to give them a life. Well, they can have Christmas Day off. They can have, New Year's Day off. That's all fine. But what do the Brayshaws do on Christmas Day, Shorty?
100 hundreds.
They do 100 hundreds.
Correct.
Exactly right. That's the difference. The 1%ers that you're looking for, Marty, you were talking about what Matty Barber used to say.
Yeah, they trained every Christmas Day.
Because what we do, we find too many blokes coming back from that Christmas, New Year break, and they're just slightly off, and they want to push the button on them, and when they do, they blow up. And that's the problem. And I'm really, and you're right, I thought it was somewhere, I think it's in the 70s, Shorty. There's about 70-odd blokes injured at the moment.
70?
Now, I thought 70-odd, but when you've got 18 clubs, I was thinking, anywhere around about 80 to 90s, average 4 or 5 a club. As we say all the time, if you start the season with injuries, 4, 5, 6, whatever it may be, you'll end up with not necessarily the same blokes, but it is a bit of a problem. But the problem is, for me, you can't help the Elliott Yeo ones. So I'm not picking on him at all, because he got a collision tackle, bang, that can happen. It's the soft tissue injuries, because the AFL want it to be faster all the time, fast, explosive. Well, if you keep training them that way, they're going to break down, unfortunately. So that's what I see it.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Look, we've got to get in this text line. We're way behind. Go to cricket. Inglis is a better keeper batsman than Carey. Carey has done well, but time for him to go. That is Wayne from Gero. Boys, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, not really, Wayne. I mean, you can't. Alex Carey's won me over. I mean, he was a guy who, coming into this summer, Shorty played a couple of Sheffield Shield games where others didn't. He's batted really well. He's kept really well. No doubt. I mean, if you're saying who's the best, would Inglis get in the top 6 batsmen in Australia? Yes, he would. Would Carey? No, he wouldn't. But a combination of their glove work, he's going to be in there. I mean, Inglis has done a great job to, he's been around the Australian squad for a little while now, got his opportunity. absolutely savaged it, which was brilliant. Good on him. But, yeah, I'm not pushing Carey out at the moment. There's a few others. I'll be pushing Marnus out before I push Carey out.
Yeah, look, he's the incumbent at the moment, so he did the hard work to have the spot in the first instance. He hasn't done too much wrong. To be fair, he was 46 not out in the first innings when Inglis made that 100, and if you flip them around, I think you could probably make the case that Carey probably would have made 100 as well, like Inglis did. So I've got a lot of respect and time for Inglis. I'm delighted to see him get an opportunity because he was waiting on the sidelines for most of this test summer going, oh, come on, I'm in good form, get me out there. Couldn't get a chance. Now he's got his chance and he's cashed in and made that 100, which is great for him. If Carey gets an injury, Inglis is right there. Inglis is not hopeless to potentially keep one of those top 6 spots as a batsman, but as Bradley's alluded to, it probably requires Labuschagne to miss out in the next test match and then maybe the test championship. And then after that, if Marnus has missed out, they may pull the trigger and bring Inglis in for him.
Okay, so that point, David, and we'll get to Snoz after this and to Rusty Gates as well, but do they tinker with the selection for the second test here in Sri Lanka?
I don't think they will. It's been a pretty convincing victory from the Aussies, and I think they came in with
should they?
I don't think they should myself.
Okay.
No. So personally, they've gone there to win this series 2-0 and get the job done. They've got the first one locked away. Travis Head, they moved up to be the head of the order as an opener for this game and for this series only. They're not talking about him World Test Championship opening the batting, but in these conditions against that new ball, the best time to score is while the field's up and the ball's new, and Head's very good at doing that. So they almost treat it like a white ball game. Head at the top of the order, he'll drop back down, and I would be staggered if they don't bring Constas back in for that World Test Championship. And unfortunately, Inglis will be the guy that drops out the end because he's the last in.
It wouldn't shock me if they gave Stark a rest. I mean, they could easily bring in Boland or Abbott to fill that, go with the 3 spinners and just give them a taste. I wouldn't surprise. They'll beat them. I mean, fair dinkum at Sri Lanka. That was embarrassing. They were crowing and complaining that, we only got 4 test matches this year. If you keep playing like that, you shouldn't have any.
No, that was a whitewash. Well, Stark's only bowled 13 overs for the test match.
Yeah.
So he bowls more than that in one innings generally here at home. So you're right. They may flip it around from a fast bowling perspective, but I think they'd be happy with the job the spinners have done. Want to quickly give Matt Kuhneman a big pat on the back here. 9 wickets for the game for a guy that realistically he flies below the radar in Australian cricket, the Australian cricket circles. He's not a big name by any means, but when he gets his opportunities, he turns up and does his job, and that's what he's done here. So well done, Matty Kuhneman, with 9 wickets for the game.
Here's Brad.
Yeah, Bo Webster didn't have a role to play either. He batted, got a 20-odd and didn't bowl. So, again, there's room for manoeuvre there. I think they could play this as a trial game for somebody anyway.
Rusty Gates, have to say yesterday served up 3 surprising results in sport. Yes, Australia beating Sri Lanka in the first test at Galle, the women's test team beating England in the one-off pink ball test at the MCG, and Perth Glory going down 2-0. Who would have thought? So, Rusty, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek.
I think it's completely tongue-in-cheek.
Can we just touch on this English cricket team? Look, I'm not I'm not really big on the women's cricket, but I've been keeping a very close eye on it in here, and they just looked inept and unfit. And what was going on there?
It's been the whole series, it's been embarrassing. And, look, they got a lot of soul searching to do. Our girls are outstanding. There's no doubt about that. Mooney has had a stellar series. They all have, really. Alicia Healy came back in, didn't need to keep because Mooney was doing that for her. And what about Alana King, Shortte?
She's a freak.
Female version of Shane Warne.
Didn't she move it around?
The West Aussie girl, 9 wickets for the game, Brad. For anybody that missed it in the first innings, 4 for 45 from 23 overs. So not just the wickets, but the economy rate's excellent as well. And then when the game's there to be won in the second innings, 5 for 53 off 23 overs. So again, low economy rate. She bowled them to victory. Also want to give a big shout out to this young lady that has emerged as one of the most talented players this country's ever seen, Annabelle Sutherland. 163 off 258 balls. They don't play much test cricket, so to have the capacity to just switch on and concentrate and bat for 258 balls, 329 minutes minutes. That's 6.5 hours she spent out there at the crease, this lady. 163 runs. She is an absolute superstar of world cricket, Annabelle Sutherland, and for her to make that big 100, well done to her. And Beth Mooney, who's been a big part of the Scorchers girls in recent seasons, 106 of 173 balls for her as well. So, gee, I tell you what, the WA cricket circles playing a big part in the success both of the Australian men's team and the Australian women's team. So keep going, you West Aussies.
Well, and to answer your question, Marty, without being misogynist and all of that, they're out of shape, some of those English players, and they've got to get into better nick. I mean, that was hopeless. Some of them couldn't catch a cold, and it was like a couple of alligators sitting on a fence. They dropped catches, they misfielded. They really didn't put up an effort, and it was trash, absolute trash. Well done to the Australians, men and women. Far too good for their opposition, but the opposition have got to zip up.
Okay, Lisa Vellenbrook, she touched on everything we've spoken about in cricket, etc. She goes now, Brad, the Eagles have employed Damon Poole as a champion data statistician, and Adam Shepherd has taken up a newly created role as draft strategy and player movement manager. Is that to help Matt Clark, the list manager, and how beneficial are they going to be to the club?
Yeah, look, what's happened, we spoke about this pre-Christmas, Shorty, when we said that a lot of the long-term employees, Lisa, of the West Coast Eagles were shown the door because the recruiting guys and whatever, they wanted to change. That's all fine. We weren't happy with the way some of it were done, but they're going down this analytical line, this gain line, and basically that's what they're doing. So they're getting this fella in to look at the champion data situation. Shepherd's come across from Collingwood. Have got no one. They've got absolutely no one. There is a real problem in there, in-house, in that area. They've lost all three of their recruiting officers. Derek Hines was shown the door. He'll end up at Tasmania. But and Shepherd's end up in Perth, and I think one other fella whose name doesn't really matter because people won't know who it is has ended up in Brisbane. So, yeah, there's an issue there at Collingwood in regards to that. But, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're relying a lot more on the data these days. I'm not so sure it's a great thing. I've always been keen. Watch the game with your eye. You know who's going well and who's not going well. I get it. You know, they don't want to give us your weight and all that sort of stuff and skin folds and all that sort of stuff, but they want to rely on all this other data. It's not a game played on a computer. It's a game played on grass.
Lisa, great comeback by the Wildcats. 1 point win. They must back it up on the road later today against the Sydney Kings. Have a great week. We need to touch on that game on Friday night. Wasn't that a seesawing affair? A typical Wildcats match.
Oh, my goodness. Fortunately, they were able to get the job done by a point. Hey, the big game later today, though, this is a clutch for the Wildcats as to where they finish on the table. So they take on the Sydney Kings. This is game number 500 for the very popular Jesse Wagstaff. He's done a great job at the Wildcats for very long period of time. The Wildcats go in at 243, Sydney Kings 156, line betting's at 4 points, total points for the game 193.5. You go under or over there, the $1.90, and the late game 1:30 tip-off, Southeast Melbourne $1.60, the 36 is 233, line betting there 3.5, and game total 195.5. So very important games for the makeup of what the NBL looks like, that table heading into today.
This game, Southeast Melbourne and Adelaide, they'll probably play each other again, depending on... I think they will in the final, in the first of the finals.
They sit fifth and sixth at the moment, and Sydney and Perth. Sydney currently sit third, and Perth fourth. So they both won 16 for the season. So crucial. If Perth can win today, they leapfrog Sydney and get that home court advantage, which is massive in a one-off playoff game. So good luck to the Wildcats getting the job done today.
Well, the great thing is they got their destiny in their own hands. That's the best way to sum it up, boys, because if they win their next two, hallelujah. They're right in it.
Okay, Marty, can you ask Brad why he didn't go to Sri Lanka? A ton was a guarantee. Snoz. I'm not much of a cricketer,
I was too busy in the backyard at Mum's playing against Shorty.
You knocked me around for a few too, Bradley.
Prize money in Vickers.
One bounce, one hand.
We're talking about HRV, Harness Racing Victoria. Prize money in Victoria shot, fellas, as unfortunately HRV are in the hole in the vicinity of about 60 to 80 million. Oh. Lucky they aren't running for ribbons. Okay, thank you for that one. Bring us up to date there.
Yes.
Morning, boys. I'm up here in North Queensland on Magnetic Island, just off Townsville, and I can confirm it's absolutely flogging down. Feels like a cyclone at the moment. Cheers, Mel. Well, thanks for that, Mel. All the best. Keep safe.
You're okay, Mel.
Safe, Mel.
Is he working? I wonder if he's working.
Yeah, they've had 500 mils at Townsville where Mel is, and I think a little bit further north than that, 800 mils. That's and if they have another day of this, it'll be a metre of rain. Can you believe that?
Frightening. That is frightening.
It's ridiculous.
Bradley, and you spend a bit of time travelling up to Queensland, Brad, at different times of the year, and all we can do is, to people like Mel and everyone up there, send our love and support, because that's when you hear stuff like this, you realise what a massive nation Australia is, because we've had these 40-plus sort of stuff going on now for coming up for 10 to 12 weeks, and opposite side of the country, here they are dealing with almost a metre of rain. It's absolutely it's magnificent from our end, but from their perspective, Brad, it's hard work.
Well, I think a little bit south of where Mel is. I mean, at Cairns, they're telling them to get into the shelters. You've got to get out. You've got to get to safer, higher ground, safer places, because of the fact that that is incredible. And here we have down here, like a few hours south, 39. Unbelievable. It's just chronic. Good luck to Mel up there, and stay safe, my friend, and maybe get out there and start building an ark.
Rusty Gates, he's been trying to get us on this one. I'm going to throw it at you. So maybe Brad, being a good horse racing analyst, could tell me who's the trainer of Russian Meteor who won race number 4 yesterday at Sandown.
I didn't see it, to be honest. Who was he
it's
thinking?
Bill Papasadrakis. It's got the... I think he's from South Australia, wasn't he? He used to be in here.
Oh, you've got me there, Rusty.
No, he's moved across to Melbourne now. Yeah, Bill Papasadrakis.
You've nailed it, Marty. You have absolutely. You've been spending hours on this. You've been spending hours.
Well, that's for a man who can't get it. Whatever it is. Can't get that one.
Yeah, that's it. You've got your tongue around this one, though.
Kate Gath does the double with 2 by 100 to 1 shots at Melton last night and gets done on the $1.10 fave. I bet you guessed the one I backed. That's from Greg Avell. That's why we love racing. Yeah.
Sorry, Rusty. I was slow on the uptake there, but I would call him Bill Alphabet. That's what I'd call it.
Okay, all right. Now, what about a Sunday saviour? We've had enough of meatloaf. Come on, up you come.
Oh, I know, meatloaf again last. I can't believe it. Look, I'm trying to get the money early for the punters today, so they can have a really good look at Bunbury later today. I will be, Shorty. We're going to Launceston. Got quite a big day down there today, so a couple of these are short, but it doesn't matter. Race 3, number 3, Zany Girl. She's a star. She'll win that race. Put in, take out, $1.50 there, Marty. Go to race 5, number 1, In the Ocean, resuming. It'll win the Sharky, $2.20. It says classes above them. Race 6, number 1, just wins again, Girasso, $1.50. So race 3, number 3, race 5, number 1, race 6, number 1, all at Launceston. And then go to sale, race 3, number 9. Gregory Rell's got a good one coming out. Tor Vega, number 9 at $2.20. So $1.50, $2.20, $1.50, $2.20, $10.90 there, Shorty. And there's a lot of shorties around the country, so beware. It's either going to be a feast or a famine.
Okay, 3-3, 5-1, 6-1 at Launceston, and sale race 3, number 9.
Tor Vega. That's it. First start of Gregory Urell.
Just tell us about Group 1 Morts. Group 1 Morts before you go. What about these TVs?
As I say, those who want to be throwing their remote controls at their TV and smash the screen, get in and get a 2024 run out. All brands say that's really, really good. You've got the Nude Nut, 1-800-100-100. We keep saying it's Shorty, but he can do things the banks can't. You apply for a loan. No, rejected, Marty. Why? No, they don't tell you. Well, he can tell you why, and he fixes it for you. So get in and do that. And don't forget, you've also got our great mate Frankie Lee at Ross's Auctions. He's a beauty too. He's statewide, so he's going well, Frankie.
Frankie Lee, absolute star. Make sure you get online there at Ross's Auctions for all of the latest. He can get you the wine there and a nice little sipper for the weekend. Bradley Magnificent and Richie Bell's put in the request. He's going to go down there to Retrovision and get one of those new TVs. Richie does his best work between 5 and 6 on those TVs. Our man Richie Bell. Absolutely it is. Good on you, Brad Hardie.
Hey, can Richie, while you're down there, can you get one that replace one that George Gullisich threw out of the broadcast box at Gloucester Park when Prince Balaban did? Chooky, you!
A bit lighter these days. The TVs are a bit lighter these days, Bradley.
See ya, Bradley.
See you, boys.
Online.org.au.
We will do the talking on the Aftermath with Marty Young and David Shortte on Tab Radio Racing and
Yes, and Courtney Walsh joins us as well. Very good morning.
Yeah, good morning, gents. I'm hoping you're both well over there.
Certainly are. Yourself?
Yeah, very well. Late finish at the MCG last night, but great to see I suppose it's always good to be able to suggest that we've whitewashed the Ashes, beaten England without them winning the match all summer. That's always a pleasing thing, isn't it?
Oh, certainly is. And this was a dominant performance by the Aussie girls. Courtney, quickly from a batting perspective, Phoebe Litchfield, she's a young lady that's got a really bright future. She was very good with her 45, but the next two really took the honours. Annabelle Sutherland with 163. I was mentioning it to Brad and Marty not long ago, batting for nearly 6.5 hours. The girls don't play a stack of Test cricket, so to be able to adapt and then just go and bat for that period of time shows incredible durability and an amazing talent. And then Beth Mooney, who we've seen do wonderful things at the Perth Scorchers for the last couple of seasons. She was great with 106. Good efforts as well from Healy with 34, Gardner 44. But take us through the partnership between Sutherland and Mooney, one of the more significant female cricket partnerships we've seen in some time.
Yeah, look, really superb. And you touched on Sutherland. I think what was notable there was her ability to read the tempo of the match when she needed to sort of buckle down and sort of get away through a testing period or a tougher period. She did that. Her defence was superb. The technique was superb there. But when the moment was there to attack, you know, and when the England bowlers were a little looser, she absolutely went after them and put them to the sword. She was able to read what was going on. You talk about batting at the crease. That was an extended period on the Saturday. You know, she got through the tricky period on the Friday night. A little bit of luck on 29 when she was dropped, but that was really a flawless innings and an absolutely superb innings. And I think it's a great thing about her. Alex Blackwell, the former Australian captain, sort of said this on commentary as well. She has a real thirst for runs. She's not just satisfied with getting their 100. She's keen to go on and add and really add to that. So 3 Test centuries in 6 tests suggests she's got a pretty special talent. And realistically, when she was, she's a bowler, but you do wonder whether, having had that opportunity to move up to number 3, and that's the other factor as well, moving up to number 3 at pretty short notice, because you would have thought that Elise Perry was going to be batting at 3 until she injured herself, sort of falling awkwardly on a ball in the field. So to be able to jump up to 3, adjust to that, and really set the tone for Australia at the crease, just a superb performance.
Okay, that being...
Beth Mooney, fantastic. Just great to see her, the first Australian woman to score centuries in all 3 formats. It's a pretty handy gong to have. And she, they just took the game away from England on the Friday afternoon.
So, end of the series now. Where do they go to, these 2 teams? What's up next for them?
Well, effectively, a few of the stars will feature in the Women's Premier League. That won't be Alyssa Healy, who we know has been battling sort of injury concerns, niggles on and off for 18 months. I think stress reaction in the foot. So she's going to put the feet in the ice bucket and be off those feet for a couple of months. But later in the year, the main target is the ODI World Cup in India, August, September. That's the next main priority. So, we'll have a few little golf and I'm sure cash in hopefully in India over the next couple of months in the T20s and that competition. But the challenge will be to try and come off an extended layoff and get themselves ready for that ODI World Cup. The disappointment in the T20 World Cup in October, stung them into action through the Ashes, and that absolutely obliterated England. Now to go for that ODI World Cup as the next goal.
Yeah, just quickly to the other girl that we gave a shout out to, Walsh, and you would have really been impressed with her work. We've seen it here in WA for some time, but Alana King has developed into one of the most potent leg spin bowlers in world cricket, and for her to take 9 wickets and make the ball talk like she has. She is one of the most magnificent players to watch because she gets great joy out of what she does. You can see that great big smile of hers every time she walks onto a cricket field, and she gives the ball a rip like almost as most top flight fellas I've ever seen play the game would be delighted to be able to spin the ball the way that Alana King does. She's a very, very special talent.
Yeah, to see the drift as well. The drift and then just bang, rips it back off across the opposition was superb. Do yourself a favour if you haven't seen it, listeners, and try and find the viewing of her delivery that dismissed Sophia Dunkley. It just was Shane Warne at its finest with its cricket. It was just an absolutely superb delivery bowling from the Shane Warne end, and she's durable as well. I think she bowled 23 overs in a row in the first innings, and they couldn't take it out of her hand last night as they were Sheen Ash Gardner were searching for that fifth wicket and a place on the MCG honour board. Just brilliant to watch, and afterwards, not just the enthusiasm and energy on the field. Alicia Healy was asked about what she's like off the field. She said, well, she's the boss lady. She's the fines master. You do something wrong, she'll be after you for money. She makes the coffee. She's
excellent. That's great.
She's into everything off the field as well. So, and just the joy on her face. I think that it's an electric smile, and it really lit up the MCG over the last 3 days.
One off the text line here from Rick. As Shorty and Courtney, as a cricket experts, I want you to take on something I saw in the Sri Lankan test. As the Aussie batter advanced down the pitch to meet the ball, the Sri Lankan short leg fielder was running with him in case he edged it onto his pad. This would be very distracting to the batsman. Is this allowed? Rick from Rossmoyne.
Go ahead, Walshy.
Well, I would have thought you're allowed to move in when the bowler's coming in, aren't you? So when the bowlers moved, you're allowed to move, aren't you?
And walk in with the bowler.
I'd have when you walk in with the bowler, don't you?
Yeah, from the moment you start playing cricket, you're encouraged to walk in with the bowler.
Yeah, and the ball is live, isn't it?
The ball is live. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I must admit, I haven't seen a lot of it in my time. No. And generally, when I did spend a bit of time under the helmet back in the day when I was a young fella playing up the grades, and they would have a very, very simple philosophy. You get down low and stay as still as you can. I don't know whether that was because you're breaking any rules or not, or because it's easier to be able to get the ball if it's hit hard at you from that position. So it's not one I've ever really thought of. Who sent that SMS through, Marty?
Ricka Rossmoyne.
Thank you. Maybe it's one we can take up with an umpire or two. Yep. There might be one or two from the umpiring fraternity that are listening in this morning that might be able to clarify that for us. But, really interesting one.
Good observation as well. I mean, clearly, you do wonder about putting yourself in the best position if the player is moving down the batsman is moving down the pitch. Well, you can take that short leg out of the play, but that's also a very good tactic.
Yeah, Walshy, the win itself from the Aussies there across in Sri Lanka, 6 for 654, then trundled out Sri Lanka for 165, 247. One of the most dominant Test match performances by the Aussies in foreign conditions. Any changes for the second Test?
Be fascinating to see. I love the horses for courses policy, and I love that we've now got the depth to be able to field. It's amazing to think that we've inflicted on Sri Lanka the greatest defeat in their history in Gaul, and you've got Pat Cummins at home, Scott Boland sitting on the bench, Josh Hazlewood not there. It's to have those three spinners. I can't see how they would do that. And Josh Inglis was superb. Do you bring Sam Constance in? Well, not based on that. I think you've got to play the same team, don't you? If they've won and the conditions are similar. I'm with you. I just don't see how they make a change to that team. No, not for. And it's great for the depth.
Exactly right. And same conditions again. So you'd think absolutely roll it over, go 2-0, come home, mission accomplished, and march on towards the Test Championship across there at Lord's. Can't wait for that. Walshy, always love a chat with you on a Sunday morning. Thanks so much for your time. Enjoy your afternoon upcoming, mate.
Absolute pleasure, gents. Enjoy yours over there as well.
All the best, Courtney.
And they're set to run. Sergi's Banner, the favourite. Away and racing. Sergi's Banner began quickly on the inside. Also, Chloe Ant shows speed. The favourite got checked, and Chloe Ant worked across and found the top. Aston Costello works hard around the outside to second, then followed by Boracay Summer. In behind them was Miss Ronnie Mack, who's camped on the leaders. Then 3 lengths away was Sergi's Banner with work to do. Ryan O'Balen, last of all down the back, was Hippie Trail along the back. Chloe Ant holds the lead by a length on Aston Costello. 2 lengths away was Boracay Summer, then followed in turn behind them them next of all to Miss Ronnie Mack on the corner. Chloe Ann for Enzo Credeli. Strong, tough. She wins by 3 lengths. Second tight, Boracay Summer or Aston Costello in a photo. Then followed by Miss
Yes,
Ronnie.
much like the man up there calling all the action, the package there. Strong and tough, Chloe Ant last night. Tremendous performance. Graham Credeli from the Credeli Kennels now joins us on the program. Welcome to you, Graham. Well, this was just a little bit of regular broadcasting. Chloe Ant's been in a purple patch of form for some 6 or 7 months now, and she went on with the job in a $20,000 to the winner race there last night. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, good morning, boys. Just keeps winning and got heaps of confidence and no dramas with it at the moment. Keeps pulling up great and, at a nice price last night too. So, could not complain at all.
Certainly was. She got out to $8.50 and for a bitch that had won 4 of her previous 5, you could absolutely have had something on the way through there. It was a good quality lineup, though, as you would expect the best 8 for that sort of money. Last night, though, the key to the race, she'd been racing so well over 600 and 700 metres. When she landed cleanly over this sort of trip, 600, got a good look at the arm. They were always going to struggle to get past her because we've seen her run so very well over longer distances in recent times.
Yeah, look, the only drama I was worried about was down the back straight where she has that flat spot. But like I've said before, if she's in front from 600 boxes onwards, good luck running her down. She's just too strong. I think she came home at 11.50 last night, and you're going to have to come home at 11.40 or so to run it down, which is near impossible. So. And the other thing with her, she's just such a consistent beginner. She just pings every week and she doesn't mind that corner start. She was a 600-metre bitch before last year's Galaxy where she made that, and she stepped up to 700 and took over the likes of Speed Freak and Ballistic Ant and that, and she was always a second stringer to them, but now she's just gotten stronger with age and run the 700 and still got the speed for the 600 and, just keeps winning.
She's been phenomenal. She's been our benchmark stayer, to be fair. I've said that a number of times over the last 7 or 8 months. Of course, the time down at Mandurah where Cannington was closed, she really made that patch her own. She loves the 647-metre trip down there at Mandurah. She won race after race. She had a patch where she ran a pile of seconds and then all of a sudden started winning and made that a habit. And since then, she's done nothing but win. She's just been in a phenomenal period of her career to the point where she's now had career stats, 88 starts, 23 wins, 21 seconds, 15 thirds. You'll struggle to find a more consistent animal in work than Chloe Ant. Can you put anything down to what's made her really sort of hit this patch over the last 6 months at all?
Mainly, I suppose, just injury-free. She had a few little niggling injuries early in her career, which we just always had to work on. And I suppose a bit of our own fault. We've always had her as we've had Speed Freak, we've had the other one, so she's always just been sitting back. But just consistent running and no injuries at all. And I think it's all started since the Galaxy last year. Like, she ran 41.70 in one of the heats and led up and got beaten by Booney in the final of the Galaxy. But then I think a few weeks later she won the Miata. So ever since the Miata, she was a Group 3 race, and then from then on she had another little injury, and then we had no more Cannington, so then we had to work out where we wanted to go and what to do. And we tried Northern a bit, and Northern wasn't really her caper. And then, if it's all right, we got Mandurah, and then just found confidence at Mandurah. And from there, she just hasn't looked back. She's willing to win and come from behind or lead. Like even last week, first time around, a muzzle broke, and she had the wires all going into her, and she still found a way to win. Like, everything was against her to win the race, and she still found a way to win it. So, it's just a heart of gold and just, chases and does what she needs to do.
She's certainly been in incredible form, and, you'd think at start number 88, 89, she might be getting towards the end, but she's racing as well now as at any other stage of her career. The Galaxy's sneaking up on the calendar. Is that her main aim over the next little patch?
Yeah. Look, she's 4 this month. We went down to the old man. It's like, we're just going to try and get it to the Galaxy and then look at the breeding barn. It's just week to week with it at the moment, just with the age and that. But look, she doesn't know that at the moment. The way she's running, she's a 2-year-old. So long as she keeps doing what she's doing, the Galaxy is the main thing. We're looking forward to that. And then after that, I'd say she'll be getting close to the breeding barn with the rest of the girls and hopefully their puppies later on.
Magnificent. Well, great catching up with her this morning, Graham. Really appreciate your time. Chloe Ant, she's on fire. She's the pin-up girl of the kennel, and she's certainly one that you can keep on following out there if you're tuned in. Appreciate your time, mate. Continued success.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and David Shortte right here on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Coming to the turn, they still have to get to Icebergs. Iceberg straightens up more than a length in front of Romeo. Storm again, tracking right up on the inside, but running out of a bit of room. Down the outside, Rocking Society. We Rate You comes around heels back behind the Alaskan. Still no luck for the favourite. Bailed up Icebergs, Rocking Society. Rocking Society, Icebergs. Icebergs, Rocking Society. Icebergs kicks, finds Icebergs. Icebergs all the way.
Big win yesterday. Icebergs all the way for Mitch Pateman and Holly Watson, who's had a stellar couple of days. She joins us now on the Aftermath. A very good morning, Holly, and well done on 5 winners in a couple of days.
Good morning, guys. Thank you very much. No, it's been a very exciting couple of days.
So Mitchie would have been happy with this, wouldn't he, Icebergs?
He's always happy when he gets a winner.
The punters were happy too, Holly, it must be said, because this horse was backed at nice odds in.
Yes.
There were some very happy connections when you returned to scale there yesterday.
Yeah, no, obviously his last run was pretty tough. He pulled quite a bit in his last run, and no, I thought he was really tough yesterday.
There was a very nice horse chasing in Rocking Society there yesterday. And credit to you, you really did get the best out of Icebergs over the concluding stages, sitting down and really punching the horse out to get the best out of it late. That's a skill set that you've really worked hard on, and clearly that's come to the fore. It's very, very noticeable watching you ride now that your maturity as a jockey is really progressing.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. Obviously had a lot of help along the way and try to improve myself every time I go out there. So, no, I was obviously lucky I didn't roll off the fence. Otherwise, I would have been beaten and probably would have got a spray. So,
well, you didn't, and that's the main thing. And similar circumstances in the first Royal Splendor for Ray Vincent.
Yeah, no, she was really good. She's been quite unlucky. Obviously, we got a really good run yesterday, and it was just worked out really good. And obviously, Ray's been a big supporter of mine for a long time, so I just really appreciate all the support.
Just quickly, it wasn't just about the winners yesterday either. Antique Miss was runner-up in the Ascot Mile. We saw This'll Show You placed there yesterday. Playing Games was placed there yesterday. Holly, you are generally in really, really good form in the saddle. It must be great turning up to a race meeting with confidence and knowing that you're riding right on top of your game.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I just wanted to say a big shout out to Mitchell. Obviously, he's my biggest supporter. He constantly gives me a lot of support and confidence and always tells me how well I'm riding. So I know I've got a lot of people behind me, but yeah, he's probably the number one person who always gives me that confidence.
And being a very good jockey himself, that must be a good place to come from to get that expert advice.
Yeah, he helps me a lot. He always talks to me after the races and tells me what I should have done and shouldn't do this, and yeah, no, he helps me a lot, so I just have to say a big thank you to him.
You've got a ride in the big race today there at Bunbury, the WA Breeders Classic Mean Machine for Darren McAuliffe. Draws barrier 6. It's at pretty big odds there this afternoon. It takes on good quality opposition. You draw barrier 6. What are you hoping for with Mean Machine today?
Yeah, hopefully we can obviously get the money. I hope so. It's a strong race, but no, he's a nice horse, and hopefully it just works out well for him.
Previous race you're on Full of Merit.
Yeah, she was pretty unlucky last time. I probably just probably went a fraction early on her. So no, hopefully we can get the money today.
All right, well, fingers crossed that you can continue on that excellent form. Polyanova looks to be one of your better rides. Race number 3 resumes from a break here for Mitch this afternoon. Can the punters have something on here, do you think?
I hope so. Obviously, she's first up, no trial. Got a lot of faith in Mitchell. So, yeah, no, I think she will be.
Geez, you're doing a good job. You're going to be in the good books when you get home. That is for sure. there with...
Got to keep my ride.
That is for sure. You got to rough in the first have a session as well at $61. And you treble at Albany on Friday for Wolfie. You rode particularly well down there as well. And what's it like riding for the old master down there?
I know, really good. I've never really rode for him before, so I had to take the opportunity when I could get it. No, he was great. And, it was great to obviously get a treble. That's my own second ever treble, so I was pretty proud. And it was really great, and he put a lot of confidence into me.
Well, hopefully many more to come. Holly, thanks so much for joining us this morning on The Aftermath. Good luck this afternoon there at Bunbury.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
There she goes, and there you go too. Thanks for coming in.
Good on you, Marty. All the best. Good luck, punters.